Hello everyone, welcome to a new video. So I thought I'd do a quick rapid fire video today talking about some new lenses that have come out. So here's a bit of a photography news flash for everyone on the Facebook group as well as the YouTube channel, Canon Lenses and Cameras. Thanks for watching. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, I would appreciate it, and go over to the Facebook group, Canon Lenses and Cameras, and join if you want to get involved with any sort of informative content and news and interactions with other members. So the news that we've got, obviously I've done a video about basically diffractive optics, and I read out a long-winded passage from Canon's documentation about what diffractive optics is. So basically, bluntly, briefly put, diffractive optics, I'll put a picture up so you can see. It's basically they splice a element in half and then grate it, and it allows the force light and certain coloured wavelengths to be changed as well, and it basically narrows it and sends it towards the sensor in a tighter beam, and it also helps eliminate some of the chromatic aberration inherent in glass. So essentially that's what diffractive optics is. It's very simple. It allows manufacturers to shorten the space and make the lens shorter and lighter. So that's basically what diffractive optics is. It's just basically a piece of glass that's been cut in half, lasered out, grated, and then allows light to pass through in a different way that normal glass would perceive colours as well. And it aims that directly to the sensor, and it basically allows the manufacturer to shorten the space in the lens. So the news that we've got some updates on the new lens that's been released, the RF 200 to 800mm F6.3, that's starting out at 200mm and goes to F9. Now we don't know at what point that actually changes the aperture, so keep tuned for further updates. So as said, it's using diffractive optics in there to make the lens smaller and lighter. It's not an L lens, so unfortunately we're not going to have heavy duty weather sealing. However, there is the possibility that there may be some moderate weather sealing put in place, but it's always recommended that you take some sort of rain cover even if you have a weather sealed lens to keep it dry. It's image stabilized, obviously. The update is it's a dual USM motors, not STM. Collapses to 30 centimeters. Weight, we're talking around 2 kilograms. I think that's about 4.5 pounds, something like that. And here is the kicker, guys. The price is a bit less than what we anticipated, and I think that's in line to compete with the Nikon 180 to 600 6.3 lens, and I think they're trying to do some sort of competition there to try and sort of suggest that you've got the option of either lens, and I think it's good to have competition because it brings down prices. So the price is $1,899. I don't know what that will translate to in the UK because prices do tend to be higher than they are in the States. And I think it's an interesting lens. Is it going to be sharper than the L lens? Probably not, because it's using diffractive optics. So I've always believed diffractive optics, while they are good, not quite as good as L glass is. And obviously you're always going to have a compromise. If you get a piece of glass and you cut it and you change a few things, you're always going to get some sort of trade-off, and I think ultimately tack sharpness is one of those trade-offs. Is it going to be sharp? Yes. I just don't think it's going to be sharp as an L lens, and it's not an L lens, obviously. So that's the roundup of the RF 200 to 800mm lens. That's the news we've got on that. It's an interesting lens, certainly. However, it's not a lens that sort of makes me really want to go and buy it because of the small aperture. Obviously, if you already own the L100-500, you can basically put a 1.4 extender on there that gets you around 700mm, and you're at f10 basically. If you're using a 2 times, that is. Obviously it'll be, I think the aperture will be 8.1 with a 1.4. So obviously if you 2 times it, you get into 1000mm obviously, and the 1.4 takes you to around 700. And obviously if you put that lens on the crop sensor, you're going to get to 800mm. But then again, you could put the R7 on this 200-800, and that would obviously get you a lot further in terms of reach. Other lenses that have come out in terms of news, we've got the RF 10-18mm F4.5-6.3 IS STM. We've been given a price of for approximately $329. It's relatively quite cheap. And then there's news of a new lens coming out called the RF 24-105 F2.8 IS USM. It's also got something, a unique feature called the Z power zoom on it. So presumably it'd be good for video zoom ins and zoom outs and focus pulls and that sort of thing. And hopefully I think that'll be good for video users. So 24-105 2.8, it's going to be a lot bigger. I'll put a picture up so you can see roughly what it's going to be looking like. I'll also put a picture up. We've got a mock-up picture of the 200-800 RF lens, but I believe it's blurred deliberately by Canon rumors to protect the source, because obviously when Canon loan equipment out, they do put things on the lens to easily make it identifiable, and then if they find out that a certain person released some information, they might stop loaning equipment to that person. So Canon rumors is protecting their source regarding that. You see, a lot of you guys will know on my channel I've reviewed lots of lenses, in particular the 150-600s, whether it be Tamron or Sigma. Also the RF 600 and the RF 800. I actually own the RF 800. It's a reasonably good lens, but the thing is, I always think when I looked at the actual examples that the Sigma lens, the 150-600 contemporary, which is just as good as a Sport in my opinion in terms of sharpness, a bit sharper than the Tamron, was sharper than the RF 600 Canon lens. But basically that's you know, full elements of glass versus diffractive optics glass. So is the RF 600 f11 lens sharp enough? Yes, but it's not quite as sharp as the Sigma lens, mainly because that's not a diffractive optic element, and I always believe that the L lens elements are solid and high quality, but whenever you start messing with an element and cut it up and grate it, you're always going to have some form of trade-off. So I hope this video has been nice and short and sweet. I know the other one was a bit long-winded, do apologise, but I was just reading the documentation on Canon's site. If you do want to go and listen to that, well, it can be a bit boring to listen to me read off a couple of pages. Feel free to do so. I'll put a link in the description box. Go and check it out. Yeah, and I'll also put some links in the description box when they become available, if you're interested in buying it from the UK, for example. And I'll put other links for my US and Canadian viewers as and when they become available, if you're interested in pre-ordering. It's a unique lens, the RF 200-800 lens. It's going to be nice as a walk-around lens, but I just don't think it has the same feel of quality as, say, the Sony GM 200-600 6.3, as well as the Nikon 180 to 600, 6.3. I think Canon is really missing out here and not coming out with a 200 to 600. There was looking at making one for the EF mount at one point because they did apply for a patent. Unfortunately, that never became a reality. Unfortunately, Canon does have a habit of applying for lots of patents but actually never makes the lens. So just because they apply for a patent doesn't necessarily mean they're going to make that lens. So again, guys, I just want to say a big thank you for listening to me today. That's the news that we've got. I'll keep you apprised of the I think the release date we're looking at in terms of the R5 Mark II is probably next year, February or March time. And it'd be interesting to know that. The one thing I do want to point out in this video though is, you know, Canon brings out Mark IIs, Mark IIIs of certain lenses, certain cameras, as well as lenses obviously. What is a good idea and a good tip for you guys out there if you're interested in these lenses, and let's say you're not too bothered about a Mark II version but you still would like to get the Mark I, maybe you're a bit short on cash, maybe you're a beginner, you don't have a lot of money, just wait for the Mark II to come out and you will see people on eBay flogging their R5s, their original R5s and their original R6s, because they want the newer camera. Obviously it's slightly better, it's got better features, it'll have more frames per second, more megapixels, that sort of thing. But if you can live with an older camera, it's a good time to buy when those new cameras come out, because not only Canon will slash prices, there'll be people on eBay, you know, whether it be auction or buy it nows, trying to flog their cameras, and you can get yourself a really good deal at those times. So if you are like me, because I'm thinking about getting an R5, if you're thinking about getting an R5, hold off and wait for the R5 Mark II to come out, and then you can get yourself a good deal. One other thing I would like to point out, and I don't think this is common knowledge, but I think it might be helpful to everyone. The RF 600 f11 and the RF 800 f11 lenses, they have a white box, as you might be familiar. It's quite small, you know, in the centre of the screen, and that's your focusing box. So if I try and draw the focusing box with my hands, that's literally how big it is. There's not a lot of real estate there for focusing. Now, with the Mark II cameras, R6 Mark II, R5 Mark II, Canon has modified the focusing box so it's a lot bigger, and I believe it's something like this, and it makes focusing with those f11 lenses so much easier. This has been shown on the R6 Mark II. Obviously if you're using a crop sensor camera it's not a big deal, it's not an issue. However, on full frame cameras, the R6 original and the R5 original, that is a bit of a problem. With the R5 you can sort of use crop mode and it'll allow you to you know, it'll be more tighter, and because it's more tighter, that square box becomes a lot bigger. So it's not too bad on the R5 original because you can go to crop mode, but with the R6 original it's a bit of a problem. But if you upgrade to the R6 Mark II, that sort of gets negated quite substantially, and I thought I'd mention that in this video because I don't think it's made a big issue. For me, that would be the only reason to get the R5 Mark II and the R6 Mark II, is that focusing box becomes a lot bigger on the 600 f11 lens as well as the 800 f11 lens. So hope that was informative, that little bit of information there. Anyway, thanks for watching. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, I would really appreciate, and trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. It's not easy on this YouTube channel, but I'm trying my best, and I appreciate if you did that for me. And I'll keep coming out with useful information. And thank you for watching, and have a nice day. Bye bye.